Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us again today for part two of three for our Build Your Personal Brand series with two amazing hosts. We have Dennis Michael of Wake Creative. We have Monika Adams of Monika Social here today to help you learn how to build a better personal brand. I know you're not here to listen to me talk all day long, so I'm going to head out and I'm going to pass the floor over to them. All right.
Thank you, Alex. All right. So where do you see yourself in 5 years? Are you still a real estate agent? And if you are, what have you accomplished in those 5 years that have made you so happy? So now as you think about your future self, let's come back to today. Is your personal brand hindering or helping you achieve that goal? So Monika and I introduce you to our 3-part series on building a better real estate brand. And today is part 2, messaging, how to craft meaningful messages that matter. But before we start, let's introduce ourselves.
Hi, everybody. I'm Monika Adams, the owner of Monika Social. I have been in business for this year will be my 6th year. Typically before that in corporate, I was working for home and land developers here in Edmonton, doing the marketing and social media. Then I started my business, and I do, of course, do Maxwell Devonshire's social media, and I help out other people in the real estate industry. And I also have a podcast called Get Discovered Podcast with Monika Social, and that's me.
Hi, and I'm Dennis Michael. I'm the owner of Wake Creative, and I help business owners build brand loyalty by freeing them from their past mistakes and limiting beliefs. So Wake Creative started in 2010, and since then I've helped many mortgage brokers and real estate agents create, refine, or reinvent their real estate brands. I've worked with agents like Alex Ward, Terry Pranis, Sonia Terabay, and Nicola Elise, to name a few. And I'm currently working with a colleague of Maxwell Devonshire, Mike Bratlin. So in part 1 of this series, we discussed your presence. So we talked about logo design, website design, print marketing, advertising, videos, photos, wardrobe, and social media. Showed you how to elevate your presence in this competitive real estate market. So today, in part 2 of this series, we're going to discuss your message. So saying the same things as everyone else will not serve you if you want to create a personal brand that stands out. Words can be powerful. They can influence perceptions, create emotion, and help attract the right type of clients you want to serve. Most agents are saying the same messages as every other agent out there, and this is your chance to stand out, and we will show you how to do it. So first, I'm going to talk about the types of messages that there are, who you are, what your target market is, and Monika is going to talk about, what's bothering them, how you can help, what is the result, and putting it all together. So remember this statistic in our last video. You are one of over 3,600 real estate professionals in this region alone. So how are you standing out from everyone else? How are you making your audience see you and remember you the next time they need to buy or sell their home when there's over 3,600 options available to your target demographic? So with as much competition as there is today, it will only get worse. And the key to remaining busy with clients is to brand and market yourself better than your competitors. To brand and market better, you must toss aside the conventional tactics that have been used in the past. You must think differently. Think about what makes your personal brand unique. Then create messages that complement your uniqueness. So knowing that in order to stand out as a personal brand, you need to have a strong presence and messaging that works. What are you going to say? How are you going to say it? And where do you deliver your message? This is what we're going to help you with today. So those that are tuning in, and if you have any questions as you're going along, write down your questions and we'll answer them at the end. We have lots to share with you, so take notes to retain what you're learning. And during the session, ideas and thoughts may come up. So write them down as personal notes to yourself and learn from them. And as we present, you may begin strategizing your next moves, calculating what you can create on your own for your personal brand and what maybe you might need to hire out. So use this session and the next one after this to build out your personal brand and keep yourself top of mind every year of your career. So what kind of messages are available to you? Well, there are many to choose from, but I want to focus on 4 specifically: slogans, unique selling propositions, commercials, and blogs. A slogan can also be called a tagline, and this is a short, memorable phrase brands use to advertise themselves. Think of Nike's "Just Do It" or Apple's "Think Differently." When thinking about creating a slogan for your personal brand, it's key to keep it short and catchy, 2 to 6 words max. And when you are creating these slogans, it can be aspirational or logical in manner. So what I mean by that is aspirational is if you have a business name that is very logical, you can pair it with a aspirational a slogan. So like Nike, for instance, "Just Do It." Or if you are an aspirational brand and you can pair something that is more local in manner, like we sell homes type of thing. So the next message that I also want you to be aware of is that you're going to use in your real estate branding is a unique selling proposition or USP. Now, this is a short sentence that explains what makes your business different from everyone else in the real estate market. So when someone asks you, "What do you do?" instead of answering, "I'm a real estate agent," you can respond with something like, "I help families make their dreams come true," or something like that. This is where unique selling propositions come in. A commercial is a sales paragraph that has a hook, story, and call to action. So it's sales copy that can be used on your website or marketing materials. The difference between a commercial and a unique selling proposition is each paragraph in a commercial has a hook or headline that compels the reader to keep reading, and it's sales based. So they can be filled with social proof, stories of past client successes or losses, but they will always finish with a call to action, what you want your reader to do next. And the last type of messaging I want you to remember are blogs. Now, blogs are long form articles where someone will share a story, an idea, information, insights, etc. These are used to share your thought leadership or to educate clients or maybe to entertaining them. So writing blogs is a good way to increase your writing skills. It's also fantastic for SEO purposes and also creating social media content, which Monika will talk about as well. I mean, there's so many benefits to writing, and it just, every time you write, you increase your writing skills, which makes you a better way of articulating your thoughts and what makes you unique as a real estate brand. So writing takes time. Whether it's a slogan, a USP, a commercial, or blog, the only way you get better is writing. And when it's written, take a moment to breathe. So what I like to tell everybody who is just starting out writing slogans, USPs, commercials, or whatever is, write it down. Just write down all of your thoughts. It doesn't have to make any rhyme or reason. Just get it out on paper. And then after it's done, refine it. But you may want to take a day or two, just let it fester for a little bit, then come back to it and then refine the writing. And then after you're done refining it, just press publish. You may not think it's that good to begin with, but I guarantee you whatever it is that you're sharing is going to bring value to somebody else. So when you're thinking about your USPs, your commercials or blog posts, they can be refined, and you are going to refine these, even your slogans. So as you keep writing and as you keep publishing, your USPs, commercials, blogs, and stuff like that, you're going to start developing habits and realize that, hey, you know what, I missed this on my last post or my last USP. Okay, now let's refine that. I'm a personal believer of always refinement, and I do the same thing with my businesses. I'm always refining my USPs to really find that one golden nugget that's really going to be compelling to my target audience. So don't be afraid to refine. So the second piece to crafting meaningful messages that matter is understanding who you are. So one of the keys to creating a successful messages begins with outlining your brand persona and core values. And see, these two pieces are really important because they set the tone for all of your messages that you're going to create, and also give you foundational guides to your writing. So a brand persona exercise, and this is something I do with my clients all the time, is I have a list, 3 columns, and it's voice, style, and behavior. And in each column, I ask my client to pick the top 3 words that express their voice, style, and behavior. And we start with column 1, voice. Pick the top 3. And I only say 3. And there's a reason why it's only 3, is because if you start talking about your brand persona and you have 4 to 5, you're just going to confuse your audience. Keep it to 3 or less. And if you happen to only just narrow down into 1 for your voice, even better, because it's going to bring a lot more clarity to your writing. So once you have identified your top 3 or less in each column of voice, style, and behavior, what you need to do is ask yourself, why did you choose these qualities? And write down your answers and have that document with you all the time when you are branding yourself, while you are writing your messages, because this is going to be your guide. So like if your voice, for instance, is dry, sympathetic, and maybe a bit quirky, and then as you're writing, and you refining your writing and you realize that your brand persona is not really exemplifying that, then you may want to refine it to have that brand persona. But what I want you to make sure is that when you're going through this exercise, you are being honest with yourself. Never, ever, ever put forth a brand persona that is not you, because if you're giving somebody the first impression of a persona that is not you, and then when they meet you and see something completely different, now you're creating brand confusion. You don't want to create brand confusion. Okay, so the last piece of this is core values, and you must go beyond the obvious values we often see with other personal brands. Your core values, and outlining them and really zeroing in on what it is that makes you what you value the most, is going to help you attract the right clients, the right referral partners, and the right collaborators. The values you share with the world become your internal guidance system and accountability partner when you begin writing your messages. Pick 5 or 6. If you have less, great. Once you have that, then ask yourself again, why did I choose these ones? And write down the definitions of each value and what they mean to you. So now that you've outlined your brand persona and core values, you are well on your way to creating messages that are meaningful for your real estate brand. Which brings us to the next piece. Who is your target? Otherwise known as your target audience. So now that we get into the mind of our audience, so what I want you to think about is, while you're writing these meaningful messages, you probably have a very good idea of who you want to target, but I want you to get more specific. Is it single moms, families with 1 child, new immigrants, Indo-Asian communities, veterans, doctors, single professionals? You want to zero in on one audience. See, creating broad messages to the masses makes your message less meaningful, and it also lumps you into the same group as everyone else. You're not pigeonholing yourself into just attracting one audience. What we're trying to achieve here is that you want to be able to be known for something and who it is that you want to serve. There is going to be natural spill-off when you do have a zeroed in audience, and you're going to start attracting other people, because the other people are going to look and say, well, you did so well for single professionals. Can you do the same thing for me? Well, of course you can, but you know your market. Your market is first this one target audience. There will be spillover. And once you figure out who it is that you want to target with your meaningful message, it's time to get detailed about this audience. So knowing who they are, what they do, where they work, how they spend their free time, how they spend their money, what bothers them, what excites them, motivates them, etc., will help you find keywords and phrases. And these small details unlock marketing strategies that you can call your own. So an easy way to get more information, and Monika is also going to touch on this in greater detail, is to listen with 2 eyes and 2 ears. So pay attention to the details and ask important questions and follow up with more questions. What you want to do is be naturally curious and document everything. Now, if you can't get that information, there are other places where you can find consumer information about your target audience. And 4 examples are HubSpot, GWI, Gallup, and Harvard Business Review. Creating your target audience profile is an important piece to creating meaningful messages as you build your brand persona. So next, Monika is going to walk you through the last 4 pieces of creating meaningful messages.
Okay, so we're going to just start to kind of think a little bit more about asking yourself these questions. I always like to tell everybody that with this process that I'm going to be going through, it's best, to be a little old school and just get yourself out a notepad and just start jotting things down. That's what I do when I'm trying to work with somebody or figure something out, is that it's best to take notes and then compile it all at the end. So the biggest thing that you want to do right now is get in the head of the people that you're going to be serving. So thinking not just about, what you're doing, but what they're going to be perceiving coming into this. So a different viewpoint. So what are their pinpoints? So the biggest thing is what's bothering them, how to figure out your audience pains, hopes, and dreams. So what are they wanting out of your service? What are their dreams out of getting this service? So pinpoints are persistent problems with a product or service. So if we're thinking about real estate, or if we're thinking about, like even just Nike, a persistent problem would be my feet are sore when I play basketball. So that's a persistent problem. For real estate, it could be, I usually have to look at so many houses before I find the one that I like. So maybe having somebody kind of narrow it down quicker so they don't have to look at so many houses. Just thinking a little bit, jotting down right now, what are some of their pain problems and things that they're kind of wanting you to solve, or simply put it, their unmet needs wanting to be satisfied. So method 1 is literally asking them. The best way for you to learn is just being that person and asking your audience or that client, hey, what are your pinpoints? What are some of the problems that you're having? What was problems that they even previously worked with another real estate agent? And you can ask them, hey, what problems did you have? What happened? Why weren't your needs met? And then that way you can make sure that doesn't happen again when you're working with them, so that you're taking that negative experience and you're making sure that it's going to be a positive experience. The best way is to remember that you should be listening. You ask these questions and then you let them open up. So listening to them means that you kind of just ask your question and then give them time. And I know, even as a person like me that's quite chatty, the biggest way that you are going to learn some of these things is by reminding yourself to give them time to open up. Because not everybody who is not an extrovert, if they're an introvert, it might take them a little bit longer to open up. So just make sure that you listen and that you do write down those things that they're saying, because you might forget it if you don't write it down. And then forms. So there's lots of things that you can do for this. I always like to say that even on a website, you can have a quick link that somebody clicks and then they write down some of what they're looking for out of a real estate agent, or having it in Instagram. It can be a link in your bio and it's something quickly people fill out. Also, something you can use is Google Forms. So you can basically fill out through Google Forms, and it's a free service if you want to Google this, and you can put in kind of questions and then they can fill out certain things. So a form is just a way of queuing them certain questions for them to answer before that you would meet with them. So you kind of have a big, basically a map of what they're looking for so that you can set yourself up for success when you have your first meeting with them. Again, forms can be many different things. You can have it on a website, you can have it on your social media, you can even have it, really, if you want, you can have it as something that you just do like this live on Facebook and ask for people's comments in the comments after your live, or having people come on your live and asking those questions as well. So this is method number 2 is, or number 3 is that forms. Then method 4 is reviews. So it is one of those things that as a business owner or as a real estate professional that you want to get reviews. So, and those reviews, you really do want to read them with a fine magnifying glass and say, hey, what did they maybe not, even if they are negative, it's something to learn from. So what are they saying in here? And they're giving you critical feedback so that you can take that and maybe make yourself a little bit more aware that, hey, next time I need to listen more. Next time, I need to make sure that I listen to their price point or what they're really looking for, and make sure that maybe they say, hey, you weren't answering your phone, you weren't getting back to me quick enough. Just write down all these pinpoints so that you can get those reviews that are going to be more positive to grow you to the next level. Again, a positive one as well. People will say in there, so-and-so was a great listener, they got back to me. And those are things as well that you want to be using in your messaging. So jot those positive points down as well, because that's how you're going to be crafting what we're talking about today, Dennis and I, that you're taking those reviews and using them in your actual messaging. And then comments. So comments can be on social media. So again, when you have something like a post, or hey, I sold this property, people will leave comments, as well as if you have a website and there's spaces where people can leave live comments, they can do that as well, or on an MLS listing, something where they can leave some kind of comment. The biggest one though is going to be social media, or on things like your blog or anywhere else that they can actually leave a comment. But if somebody leaves a comment on one of your posts on social media, it's always a good thing to jot it down, but also to remember to reply to those comments so that people feel like you're actually getting back to them with a positive feedback, again, because people won't want to leave these comments if you're not going to be getting back to them. But making sure you're writing down what their reply is to some of these, like if you start asking them more questions, that you're actually writing down some of these comments so that you can use that in your messaging as well. And then keywords. So one of the biggest things is that you can use keywords to figure out some of your messaging. So one of the biggest things is if you use Google Analytics and you're like, hey, I wonder what people really are, how they're finding me, where are they finding me? You can use your Google Analytics to kind of zone in how they're finding you. So if you're a real estate agent and let's say you're like, I'm not sure who to service, well, you can figure it out through your keywords. So if you go to your Google Analytics and you're like, oh, most people are finding me under first-time home buyers, then that's something to jot down as, hey, that's something that needs to be figured out in my messaging, that maybe my target audience is first-time home buyers, as well as keywords are going to be also showing up on social media. So when you have your bio on Facebook or on Instagram, there are keywords on those bio descriptions. So when you have your bio written out, you want to be making sure, again, that your messaging is very clear so that you show up under those keywords. So if you're social media consultant, people are going to be finding you under that. If you're a real estate agent, people will be finding under that, but then make sure that you do have something that, like if you service first-time home buyers, make sure that that keyword is actually in your Instagram bio or on your Facebook so that you show up. So it is a little bit of research that you're going to have to do to make sure that these keywords are working for you, but keywords can give you lots of information. So again, it is a good idea to make sure that your Google Analytics are set up so that you can have a look at, hey, people, when they come to my website, they're coming mostly to this service. And okay, they're going to this service, so that's maybe what I need to jot down because that's kind of my target audience. And then how can you help them? So again, the biggest thing is that again, with our first slide, there's how many real estate agents in Edmonton area. So you just need to think a little bit more, how can you help them? But how can you put this into a message? So a message that you're going to be using as a slogan or something like that. So how to understand what makes you a better choice. So for focusing on your, basically on your qualities. So again, it comes back to what Dennis covered. You know, if you're outgoing, quirky, and really humorous, then those are going to be qualities. But again, you have to jot down your qualities and make sure that they do, of course, actually it's going to be when somebody meets you, they're going to notice those things. So, and then support your claims. So the biggest thing is that when you're going to be saying you're quirky or funny, then that should be showing up on your messaging, on your website, on your social media, anything that you're producing. So you want to keep that quirkiness or that sense of humor to support your claims. And then explain your approach. So the biggest thing is that all of these things should be answered to kind of get you to put this all together at the end. So explaining your approach is basically just saying how you're going to do things. So if somebody's going to work with you, what step, you know, A to B, or, you know, the ABC, so that people kind of know your approach. So first, you know, I take your information and then I set up my first call. And then after that, you know, we go out and look at homes, but just so that people know your approach and they don't have to kind of guess. But this is the biggest thing, is that you're understanding, you're basically making people understand your qualities and your claims, and then your approach. And then this all goes into your messaging, everything that Dennis and I have been speaking about. Okay, so what is the result of your help? So you kind of have to think about it is that when you're a real estate professional, you know, you're either helping a buyer or a seller. So those are two different types of people. Think of how you will solve them time. So biggest thing is that people are busy working their own full-time jobs. So how are you going to make this process the quickest, the easiest to save them time? And then also, how are you going to help them save money? And then streamline their process. So maybe they don't have to see, you know, 20 houses. You just bring them 5, or you even virtually show them around so that they don't have to go to that many showings. So you're thinking about, how am I going to streamline their process, and how will working with you help them out in their day-to-day lives? So again, these are all things that you should jot down on your notepad so that you can kind of look at this to put everything together. You're basically trying to say, work with me because I'm going to help you do this, 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 and this, and perceiving that to somebody when they have that first phone call or Zoom call with you. And then putting it all together. So we've talked about a lot today. The biggest thing is that you're going to be focusing again on the 4 types of messages. So slogans. So I'm just going to use my slogan as an example. Just like Dennis said, it's literally 6 words. So my slogan, I'm Monika Social. So my slogan is get social, get engaged, get discovered. So that's very precisely on all of my marketing as my message. I even say it on my podcast. It's on my everything that I hand out to people. So you just want to make something that is really easy and that you can always use again on all marketing or branding material. And then your unique selling proposition, again, what makes you unique? I mean, there's a billion of real estate professionals or mortgage brokers, but what makes you unique? Commercials and then blogs. So the biggest thing is that these are kind of your 4 types of messages. And I'm not sure if Dennis wants to chime in a little bit more about putting it all together, but basically that's where we come in.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is as you're writing and as you're getting better, you can look at examples. We'll have set up resources we'll give with Alex where there's other books that you can read that'll help you with creating really awesome messaging that's going to work for you, and commercials and unique selling propositions, slogans and whatnot. But you have to get into this process of writing. That's always the start. And yes, it takes time and it's going to require you to be a little bit creative. But the more that you do it, the easier it's going to be in order to put these messages together. I mean, the formulas are very simple with these 4 types of messages, but these 4 types of messages are going to serve you so much. I mean, Monika talked about like how she has her slogan on every single piece of marketing materials. Unique selling propositions can be put on your website as the top header, like that first hook that's going to be on your website. Have your unique selling proposition there, because right away you're going to qualify who it is that you want to work with, how you are better than everybody else, and what makes you different. So that is really good. And then commercials, I mean, you can use these literally everywhere. You can use them on your website. You can use them on door knockers. You can use them in advertising spots. Like there's so many different ways of using commercials, or even in pitches, or if you are doing radio ads and blog posts. Again, I mean, I think that this is a really good place to start, is just start writing about your thoughts. Every interaction you have with a client, if you're listening with 2 ears and 2 eyes, is going to give you valuable insights into what their pain points are, what's troubling them, you know, what makes you unique, why they chose you. And you can actually write, you know, long form content from those interactions.
Mm-hmm.
So today we discussed your presence, or sorry, we discussed your messaging, and it is important that these areas is where you focus your time and energy and money in. And these are the most important areas to create the best messages possible to attract your ideal client. And that's it for today. Nice, short and sweet. We're going to open up for questions. If Alex has anybody that's watching, and if he wants to chime in.
All right, let's just.
And if anybody has any questions after the fact, like leave them in the Facebook comments and Dennis and I will get back to them as well.
Absolutely.
Yep, in the Facebook comments, on the YouTube video, and of course, or just message you guys directly. We don't have any questions at the moment, but one of the things I really loved from today's presentation was the message of just do it, right? You know what's a better video, or a better video than not? A video that's posted. Anything that's posted is better than the thing that's in your head that never gets shown out there. And truthfully, you can't grow and become better at it if you don't do it. So that is a fantastic message that both of them have brought into you today, whether it's in blog form, commercial form, written form, video form. Who cares? Do it.
I agree. We're our own worst enemies. We get inside of our own heads. You just need to just put it aside and just post it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about your filter. Don't worry about anything else. Trust me, when they see you face to face, they'll know who you are.
Yeah.
Your filter doesn't exist when you're meeting someone face to face, which we still do in today's world. But with that being said, I'm going to end it here. Thank you so much, Dennis. Thank you so much, Monika, for joining us yet again. Our next one is going to be in the month of June. So pay attention to the date, and I can't wait to see you guys. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.